Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Girl Boss Method podcast. We run this live now inside my program, the Girl Boss Method, and we do this every Wednesday at 6 p.m. for the guys on the program. Today we're having a couple of guests. We've got Gagan and Sugathri. So although I'm female focused, I do also coach men from time to time. And today's topic that we're going to talk about is a topic that one of the guys requested, and it was actually Gagan. And I've kind of elaborated a little bit more on that, but it's about motivation tips and strategies when it comes to fitness and well-being goals. So we all know how it goes, especially when we start a new fitness plan. Oftentimes we can feel very excited to get started. And unfortunately, it happens to us all, but that motivation wanes. And if there's anything you take away from this, and I mention it a lot, is rather than relying on motivation, it's better and it's going to serve you better to rely on commitment. So when it comes to commitment, there are many different things that we can kind of look at that are going to help build that commitment. And that, you could say, is motivation tip or strategy in itself. So I'm going to start off with asking the guys in the program to kind of chime in here and there. And if I sort of asked you guys, like Gagan, maybe you can start with this. Perhaps maybe there's something you can offer everyone when it's in terms of how you've got over that sort of that slump or trying to stay motivated.
For me, I wouldn't say I drag myself to do exercise or gym or anything, but I think about the after kind of feeling. I always kind of reflect on that and think to myself, you know what, I felt so good last time after I went to the gym or went for a swim or whatever, even if it was for a short time. At least I went, kind of thing, and did a bit of effort rather than not going, kind of thing, if that makes sense. So I always think about that. And I always think to myself, I've never felt bad after going to do exercise or to the gym or whatnot, unless I'm actually, injuring myself, but that's a whole different sort of scenario. But so
Yeah.
even if it's kind of half a workout, or even if it's 10 minutes, the way I see it, it's better than nothing. So, and you'll always feel good for doing it. So that's one kind of mental way of trying to get me to do something.
I absolutely love that, Gagan. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I think, again, you've kind of relied on that commitment aspect of just ensuring that you go in, you tick the box and you get it done. And just as you've sort of said there or mentioned, I don't think any harm can come from going to the gym, working on yourself, because you are going to feel amazing after that, and sometimes I've felt personally, those times when I don't feel motivated, those are some of my best sessions. Those are some of those moments where I come away from the session and I'm feeling absolutely like pumped and amped, and I'm just feeling so good about myself. And that's just such a vast difference to how I might have felt pre the session. So that's always something to kind of think about as well. And Sugathri, if we ask you as well, having just recently started, what's kept you motivated? What can you offer?
I think for me, I've always struggled with just kind of getting up to actually go to the gym. I think that's always been the most difficult part. And now I've come to realize mentally that obviously nothing is a quick fix. And before I used to kind of think if I do it for a week or like a month, I want to see change and I'll lose a lot of weight or whatever the goal is. But I think, like you touched upon commitment again, I think realizing that this is a process and it'll take a while, but as long as you commit to it and actually drag yourself up to go to the gym sometimes, it will happen. So I think coming to a realization for me was really important. Um, just to tell myself that as long as you keep doing it, you will get to that goal. It might take a bit of time, but you will get there eventually.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. And I guess that's a lot of the time we are most motivated when we see changes or quicker changes. And when we're not seeing changes, it's really important to think about patience within your goal as well. And that's sometimes something that I feel like can really let people down when it comes to finding that motivation to continue and to get started. But, you know, that commitment, making sure that it's one of those things that you do almost like as a non-negotiable. And it's not to say you have to go every day, it's a couple of times a week. And, you know, if you haven't got a full hour to commit, then half the session or part of the session is also really valuable as well, just getting it done. And actually that sort of brings me onto a point that Gagan has sort of opened up to me about, really, in terms of his schedule. He runs his own business, so he is non-stop, constantly, you know, always keeping on top of his business, his staff, and his family as well. So when it comes to his fitness, sometimes, Gagan, you've told me that you've struggled, and what you've done and what you've found that is really helpful recently is actually just breaking that down and actually doing like 30 minutes, let's say, earlier in the day, and then coming back to finish the rest of the session. So yeah, that's also something that can be looked at as well. So if we haven't got anything else to add right now, I'm actually just going to start working through these tips and strategies. And yeah, when we're thinking about this, our fitness or well-being goals, it's the physical activity which is important, but it's also the lifestyle and everything else that comes along with it. So yes, the nutrition, etc. So I've put a couple of points up on the screen just for us to kind of like get into and talk about a little bit more. And you guys, I'd love for you to again get involved and share your experiences or even your struggles as well. So this call is all about us really finding out what it is that I can do to help you, yeah, basically feel motivated. So the first thing would be to actually have a very clear goal, and also prioritizing that goal as well. When we're thinking about the bigger picture, so whether that's you're looking at building lean muscle tissue and you want to lose some weight, or you're looking for a bit of fat loss, if you just want to lean up, thinking about that goal and having that goal, you know, at the forefront of your mind, sort of, you know, every now and then, I think is really important. So you've got to be quite specific when it comes to what's actually attainable within your busy schedule. And again, comes back to just making those non-negotiable commitments, just like any other task that we might have in our careers or within business as well. It's something else that is going to help, you know, it's just going to add so much in terms of your mindset as well, and how you look at your whole lifestyle in general. Time management and planning. So I don't know if you guys use this, but so Guthrie, perhaps maybe you use something like this at work, like a diary perhaps. One of the things that I've found really beneficial is actually using Google. So with Google, you can use like a Google Calendar, and you can actually drill in repeated notifications. They're time sensitive. Again, it's not to say you've got to stick to it 100%, but sometimes just having that notification to get up and go, whether that's to get out and have a 15 to 20 minute walk to get away from the desk. You know, it's again, it's about planning as well, and also allocating time slots over the course of the week where you are going to exercise. You know, again, whether that's a longer session or a shorter session, I think the time management aspect is really important. And again, like Google Calendar, I absolutely love it. Not to say that I stick with it 100%, but it just helps to keep me on top of fitness, and making sure it's in the diary and it's scheduled. Is that something that you guys do as well?
I definitely use it for work just because I have a lot of meetings and kind of doing admin work and also my sessions with clients. So that I definitely know how helpful it is. So I'm definitely planning to kind of be more doing that more into my fitness as well. It's in the process at the moment, but we're getting there.
Yeah, definitely. And guys, this is something that I get you to do with our check-ins. So we'll always do it on a Thursday for the week ahead. And not only are you telling me how many times you're going to train next week, but you're also telling me what days you're going to train. And for me, when you guys are going to the gym or you're completing an exercise program, I get that notification and I know in the back of my mind, this is what Guggen's going to be doing, or this is what Sagathri is going to be doing next week. And if I haven't had that notification, I will give you a nudge and just be like, hey guys, what's going on? Like, has something come up? And I think Sagathri, you sort of opened up to me earlier this week and said that although you had allotted the time, you hadn't actually gone, but we had a little bit of a chat about why that was anyway. And yeah, it's just sometimes having that nudge from someone to kind of like get up and go. Like I think that's great as well. So I think it's really helpful. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Definitely think.
Excellent. So also being realistic, again, this is coming down to time management, and it's interesting. You guys haven't done this yourselves, but I have had people when they're starting the program and they're just like, yeah, I want to train every day. Like I want to do 5 days a week. That's not realistic. The motivation might be there in the beginning to do that because you're starting something fresh. And you've also, you've got that excitement about going in and doing your sessions. Again, it depends on what you're like in terms of your fitness experience and your confidence with doing exercise, but it's really important to be realistic. And again, this is where planning those sessions and making sure that you've got that in your schedule allotted. Just be realistic, basically. And then again with the times as well, when you guys joined, it was all about finding out how much time you genuinely had to do these exercises. So again, I can and as we go along, guys, if you ever feel like you need a shorter session or a longer session, or you feel like you're getting through things much quicker as time has gone on, and you're gaining more confidence in your routine within your actual workouts, reach out, and again, I can make those adaptations where needed. So again, having that flexibility within your workouts, it's the same thing. Again, if we can't get to the gym, you can always speak to me about perhaps maybe doing like a home workout. So Sagathri actually does have some Pilates that she could do again at home, and Guggen as well. For you, I know that you also go to a Pilates class at your local gym. So it's picking up some of those home workout options as well. So it doesn't always have to be in the gym. There's always something that we can kind of fit in around at home. And again, if you can't get in and weight loss is your goal, getting out, getting for a walk, taking calls whilst you're walking as well is really helpful. And it's definitely something that some of the other guys have done previously. And I don't think we've talked about this yet, Sagathri, but maybe even having like, if work, I don't know if it's really applicable for you right now, but especially in the winter when the weather's crap, having a walking pad or a home like treadmill or something is a really good way if you're working from home for getting steps in and then just getting some walking done, especially if you're watching a work meeting and you don't have to be so actively involved. Just using those opportunities to kind of get some more activity in.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, no, that's a good idea because especially during winter times because of the weather, you do feel quite demotivated, kind of second think about, oh, should I go out for a walk or not? And then you're quite drained. So I think that getting that home treadmill was quite a good idea.
Yeah,
Get me.
and I can share a link with you actually, like after this call as well for that Cigar 3. But yeah, I found an amazing walking pad earlier this year, stumbled across it. I shared it within the group, and like everyone was like, oh my God, I'm buying it. It's amazing. So yeah, it's just a really, it's not a treadmill as such, but it's just a way of getting some steps in. And look, we all love a bit of downtime and watching a bit of Netflix, and yeah, you can catch up on your favorite shows whilst getting some steps in, which is great. So another thing that we talk about is the meal planning and preparation. Again, snack options kind of tie in with this, especially when we're thinking about nutrition on the go. So Gagan, we've kind of done a little bit of work on this. Cigar 3, we are yet to do a little bit more work. I've got some homework to do for you in terms of your helping you with your meal planning. But by using MyFitnessPal, for example, if you're tracking calories and macros, putting in what you're going to have for the day ahead is a really good way of just getting it done. And also it just takes away a bit of like brain fatigue and exhaustion when you're having to think on the spot constantly. We can eat the same sort of meals a couple of times a week, and you can just drill it in. So whether that's your lunches are the same, or you know, your breakfasts are the same, or you generally kind of do the same protein options around dinner times, you can just drill them in and go, hey, I'm having X amount of grams of X, and then planning your meal around that. And it's definitely something I've used myself, especially when like I've come to personally getting into leaner shape, whether that's just for like the summertime or previously when I was competing in bikini bodybuilding. I would plan my meals out for the week ahead. I would prep my protein options, and I would always know that the snacks that I always had like options that were better than just kind of grabbing a bag of crisps and, you know, eating the whole thing. I've definitely been there in the past, so hands up. But yeah, like, you know, things like it's not to say you can't have crisps, but maybe thinking about the size of the packet you're going to have. Protein options are always good to have on hand, protein powders. Maybe even if you're going out for work, taking some prepped protein with you, and knowing that when you go out into the shops, you can go and buy like one of those ready meals to kind of put with it, the lunch options that you get in like Tesco's or M&S. Just putting that with your protein as well can help you a little bit when it comes to having that flexibility and planning as well. Because again, for some of us, eating the same thing constantly is a bit boring, but it gets the job done, right? Right. Anything to add on those bits, guys?
No.
No, good so far.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And again, if you've got any questions, like, let me know. Okay. Oh, hang on. I've got a habit of clicking back. So these are some other sort of strategies, if you like, to think about and not to be ignored. Again, it's so interesting when I ask you in our check-ins, and I'm like, do you feel like you're having enough water? And if I actually ask you a little bit more, I asked one of the other guys earlier today, well, how much water are you actually drinking? Do you feel like you're hydrated enough? And their answer was, I'm having 6 cups of water a day. Now, again, what size is that cup that you're drinking from? And again, are you drinking other fluids throughout the day? I think again, it's quite sometimes knowing how much hydration you need is really important as well. So again, Gagan and Gagan, I think you're pretty good with your hydration. Cigar 3, again, we can talk a little bit more about that as well. But the ballpark figure for most people is 2 liters. And unfortunately, there are people out there that don't even get past half a liter or a liter of water. And it's amazing how big an effect just being hydrated can help when it comes to like feeling energized, managing any like cravings you're having as well. And also when it comes to that mindfulness, just sort of being in the moment when you are having your meals, appreciating what you're having. Another thing that I found really helpful, and I don't know if you guys have ever practiced this, it might be worth doing it, but not eating and scrolling at the same time, not eating and watching TikToks or Reels or Netflix or telly, but actually being present. And I don't feel like we do enough of this these days, is actually just eating a meal and purely just simply doing that. And I think that will really help. It goes a long way when it comes to thinking about your satiety levels, when it comes to meals, knowing whether you're full or if you're just mind hungry and you're just eating. Yeah. Do you guys kind of agree with me there? Is that something that you've considered or thought about, or anyone?
Yeah, I
Sorry.
don't tend not to use the phone or whatnot while I'm eating, for sure.
Yeah, it's about being present with your meal as well, right? And especially if you've got company, being present within the company as well. I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, I live with my family, so we always try to have dinner on the table without any TV or electronics. So that's been working out quite well
That's
so far.
amazing. That's really good. I like that. And that just again brings in that whole connection thing of being with family and being present and actually really appreciating the food that you're eating and again each other's company. And then I say that this is probably the biggest thing that you guys get from being on the program is accountability and support. So we do our check-ins every week. I do try and reach out to you daily, every other day, or if I know that you're kind of being a bit quiet, try and utilize me, guys. I'm here for you. It's not just about me going, eat this, work out like this, and goodbye. Let's adapt. Let's, support one another. That's why we do have the WhatsApp group as well. I know that everyone's very, very busy, but it's great hearing about how you're all progressing together as well. So, which brings me on to my next few points are things like tracking your progress. So obviously we're tracking our weights that we use within the session, our reps. We're actually tracking the fact that we've done a program. We're tracking our perhaps physical or even mental progress as well. So it's not just me asking you, what do you weigh currently? It's also me asking you, have you been sleeping? All those small little things all help add up, and they're going to help us see where you're progressing. So even when you feel like you're at a standstill and you're not seeing things move in a certain direction when it comes to the scales, there are other ways of us tracking progress and again being able to celebrate our wins. And then again, that brings us back to motivation. So those are the things that are going to keep us going and keep us feeling motivation. Tracking isn't just purely there as a measurable tool to kind of just keep like a track of those things, but it helps to reinforce the commitment and again celebrating those achievements and milestones. So when you really feel like you're in a dark space and if you're not seeing much going on, well, there could be other things that we're kind of missing out on. And well-being, mental well-being being one of those things, sleep, and even just how we feel as though our life is changing as well. I'm just reflecting on that overall can really help keep us motivating and keep us striving to do better and to feel better as well. Which again, all these things kind of roll into one another, but self-care and the stress management. So guys, I don't know, Gagan, I can't remember if I think you may have been present for that training, but we did one purely on stress management a while back. Please go back into the group on the app, which is called Weekly Educational Topics, I believe. But you can go back and watch any of the previous trainings that we've done. And if you need to ask any further information or like questions on them, or you want me to like directly share the link to you, like, again, guys, please let me know. But yeah, when we're thinking about self-care and stress reduction, actually going to exercise is actually going to help do that. It's just going to it's got like positive things to it as well. I love this when we get these notifications. But yeah, like just overall improving your well-being and managing that stress, taking time when we're thinking about self-care. There are many ways of doing that. So again, just please reach out, and again, reference back at that video if needed. Right. Other things that we can do is have patience, right? Patience and compassion for our own journeys, and understanding that there will be challenging days. Just maintaining that self-compassion as well, especially during those setbacks. And it's, again, when things are not going right, it's so easy to kind of like self-sabotage and think, oh my God, everything's going wrong. But it's just to kind of just have patience and reach out to one another, to me. But yeah, we're here. We're a team, guys. Is there anything that you feel like you want to add to this, or anything you want to ask?
Nothing from my side.
Everything all good, yeah?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So when it comes to tracking progress and everything, tomorrow is our check-in day. So I don't have a slide on that right now, but tomorrow is Thursday, and you have from early Thursday to Friday, you'll get the notifications popping up. So you have a form to do, any measurements again. We can talk about this privately together if you're comfortable doing them every week. If it doesn't feel like every week is doable for you, I always love a form, because I feel like a form you can always do on the go. And some of the other measurements might take a little bit longer. And again, it's also how comfortable you feel with taking certain measurements, but everything's a work in progress. So yeah, with that all said, we're going to end this this podcast here. So guys, again, if you've got any questions or anything, you can follow me on Instagram, send me a private message at Richu Brar, that's spelled RICHUBRAR. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you here next time. All right.